See here. Another game that I'm really looking forward to diving into, once and for all, is the Final Fantasy VII remake, which was released as a free game to PSN subscribers. So I nabbed it
Hmm.
that way. I was turned off by the demo,
Hmm.
but I am looking forward to firing up this game and giving it a better chance because of everything that I've heard, both from you and other people. The demo really just doesn't do a good job of selling the game. It kind of doesn't give you an opportunity to get used to the intricacies of the battle system. So
Hmm.
I really want to give that a shot, and spend some time with it and give it a proper, fair shake. And if I spend, 4 or 5 hours with it and I still don't like it, then so be it. That's fine. I didn't pay for the game. But Final Fantasy VII was one of my all-time favorites, and it's something that I really owe the franchise, in my opinion.
You just chose the right word. You definitely owe it to yourself.
Yeah.
And I would argue that anybody that's a fan of the original game needs to play this game.
Mm-hmm.
And if you end up not liking it, at least you did that sort of due diligence and you gave it a chance. And I think that you're really going to like it, man. I agree that, as many times we talked about the demo, some would argue that it did sell them, but I think that there's a lot of arguments to be had as to why it wouldn't sell somebody. And
Mm-hmm.
I think it's what I said before. You don't get to experience the combat at its full potential,
Right.
which really does come later. And when you unlock more characters, it really kind of blossoms from there.
Mm-hmm.
And with this new Intergrade thing that's coming to PS5, I'm pretty excited for that, man.
Yeah.
I did some more research, and from what I understand, it's to get the some of the visual updates. That part is free, but to get the characters and stuff, you have to pay for that,
Okay. Okay. Well, I mean,
unless you buy
it's
the full game.
right. I mean, it's flat out DLC.
Yeah,
So,
it's just DLC.
but I mean, upgrade aside, like that's a separate thing. But like you're getting a whole new story for a character that wasn't as well developed in the original game. You know.
No, yeah, Yuffie and I forget the other character that they're introducing. I think it's somebody new.
Yeah, it is.
But everybody's, excited for Yuffie, and yeah, like you said, the original, you find her in the woods. You're in your little world buggy, and you're trying to drive around. You're like, where the fuck is she?
Mm-hmm.
The guide says that it's in this little patch, and then all of a sudden, she just kind of pops up.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it's cool to see her. She looks a little redesigned, and that's fine.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, man, I think this is a great choice for you. I think
Mm.
that you're really going to enjoy it, and Tifa is a blast to play with.
Yeah. Um. All right. So what's next for you, man?
I'd like to get back to Gravity Rush as well.
Mm-hmm.
Gravity Rush 2. It was a game that I was playing pretty consistently before the whole move thing happened, and
Mm-hmm.
I'd like to get back to that. I don't want to fall off of it. I've mentioned it so many times, but this is a spectacular game, and there was even a reference that I found after I went back and played Astro's Playroom.
Mm-hmm.
There was an actual Astro dressed as Cat, like doing gravity stuff, and I was like, "Oh my fucking god, I love this game." But yeah, no, I really want to get back to it, dude. I mean, look at this game. It just the cell shading kind of animation and all that
Mm.
kind of stuff. It's such a visual treat to play, and the gameplay is terrific. I know Joe is a pretty big fan, and Bree as well, and
Yeah.
for good reason. It's an excellent game. It's very unique,
I have a
and even though
copy.
it's on the PS, you
Yeah.
do have a copy.
Yeah. I haven't played it yet, but I'm very curious to spend some time with this as well.
Yeah, it's wholly original, and I think that's what was really a big selling point for me and kept me going with it. So
Mm-hmm.
I'll be playing it on the PS5, of course, and if there's no visual upgrades, that's fine. I want to beat it, because I'm pretty close. I think I'm almost 100% sure that I'm more than halfway through the game. So,
Mm-hmm. Very
so
nice.
I think it'll be between this and, of course, Returnal and Demon Souls. I'm just going to stick with those three. I
Mm-hmm.
think anything more than that's going to be overkill.
Yeah. Well, I have a list of 5. So, um,
You're a brave man.
well, I mean, I'm not going to be playing all 5 of these at a time, but it's just kind of like my lineup of what I want to play next, I guess you could say.
Sure, sure.
So, I have to have Chrono Trigger in that mix, and I just bought a copy of this from Jimmy pretty recently on the Super Nintendo. The video that we're showing in the Twitch stream is of a remastered version. I believe it's either Steam or Android. I'm not 100% sure. But I just have always wanted to actually beat this game. Like I've started it so many times. I've put in, a handful of hours, but I've never actually beaten the game. And like, I want to put the time in, and I want to get multiple endings, and I want to see what all the hubbub is about, you know? So I'm very much looking forward to sitting down with this. I'm probably going to hook up my Super Nintendo and play it on there, and do it the old fashioned way, I think, you know, try to
I love it, man.
experience the way it's meant to be. I have a copy on the DS. I have a copy on the PlayStation. And people can argue for and against those being superior to the Super Nintendo. Of course, there's emulation. I could always play it on an emulator, but I think I just really want to play it the way it was designed.
I love that, man. I think that's a really good way of entering this game and experiencing it. And I think that, you know, kind of hearkening back to our BioShock Infinite discussion, there was a moment where we said that the first BioShock was required reading.
Mm-hmm.
I would argue that this game is also falls into that statement. And
Yeah.
I owe it to myself to play it, man. I've actually never played this game. So I really want to get to it and also see what all the hubbub is about.
If it wasn't a game that was a minimum of 30 hours or so to play, I would, you know, recommend it, I think, for the game club, because I think it would be a lot of fun for people to experience it together and talk about the different endings and, you know, how they accomplish those things and how their plays differed. But, you know, it's an RPG and it is lengthy, even if it is shorter than the current RPGs that we have nowadays. So there are drawbacks to that, you know, and I think for a game club game, it might be a little too beefy. But
it's an interesting. I was just going to, not to interrupt, but I was just going to say that's a very interesting point, because some people forget that even though it's very easy to say, oh man, games are so long now, there were some long games back in the day, man. When you and I were young and FF7 came out, that was a long freaking game.
Oh yeah, well, I mean, I made that longer than it needed to be, but because well,
But even if you didn't,
yeah, I mean, even if I didn't, so according to HowLongToBeat.com, the main story for Chrono Trigger is about 23 hours. For a completionist run, it's 44 and a half hours. Now, I'm not entirely sure what a completionist run entails, whether that's multiple playthroughs or just being very thorough in your single playthrough. And then for reference, Final Fantasy VII, the original, you know, just main story, you're looking at 36 and a half hours. Completionist is 83 hours. I had well over 100 hours on mine.
that's incredible.
So,
that is incredible.
did a
this
lot
is
of grinding.
1997 game.
Yeah. Well, I did a ton of grinding in that game. I was trying to get, you know, the same materia for everybody. So I just kept grinding it until I was able to duplicate it, you know, and that took a lot of time and effort, but it's an accomplishment I'm very proud of.